It was a gloomy day in Seattle, Washington. Roger Grant was at the airport, walking down the jet bridge with all the other passengers who were boarding this flight to New York. He was standing on line with some people who flew on a regular basis, while some occasionally, and for some a first time. But it had been many years for Roger since he last flew on a plane. He didn't like having to fly, and he usually preferred traveling by land. But driving to New York would take 48 hours, and when Roger received an emergency call from his stepfather that his mother was in the hospital, he didn't have a choice but to choose the fastest way there, a 5-hour flight. As Roger neared the entrance of the plane, he showed his boarding pass to the air hostess and walked down the aisle searching for his seat. "Good morning, mister. Do you need any help?" said a beautiful air hostess behind him. "Let me take a look at that." "Come with me. I'll take you to your seat." "Thank you." "No problem." Roger put his bag into the compartment above and sat down, watching the air hostess walk off again. He had gotten the second seat to the window, and sitting beside him was another young woman holding her face. She turned to look at him. Roger could tell she was frightened. "Are you okay?" "I'm just feeling a little nervous about the flight," she said, locking her seatbelt. "Hi, I'm Roger. Is this your first time?" "I'm Hannah, and yeah, it is. I recently got a job offer in New York. I'm moving there, but I wish I took a bus or a train instead. Is it too late to get off?" "Ladies and gentlemen, we request your full attention as the flight attendants demonstrate the safety features of the aircraft. We are now getting ready for takeoff and are expected to be in air in approximately 5 minutes' time. We ask that you please fasten your seatbelts and secure all baggage." Oh no, they closed the doors. There's no way off now. Hannah quickly pulled out the safety pamphlet from the seat pocket in front of her. But just seconds into skimming it, she put it down nervously and peered out the window, shaking her head. "I've read this like 3 times already." Seeing her condition, Roger tried to calm her down. "Did you know that air travel is the safest mode of transportation?" "What? Really?" "Yeah, chances of dying in a car crash are 1 in 1,000 and 1 in 11 million in a plane crash." As the plane started to speed along the runway, Hannah anxiously gripped onto her seat. What if we're that 1 in 1 million? Luck never takes my side. It was just a few years ago that Flight 1549 lost both of its engines and crashed into the Hudson River, and we're going to that exact location right now. And as far as I remember, it was a successful landing. Besides, planes can fly safely with just one engine, and if we do get caught up in a situation where both engines have failed, the pilot can still glide the plane and do what is called a dead stick landing. "Excuse me, I'm already paranoid. Are you trying to scare me even more?" Roger let out a sigh. "I don't get it. Why do women need to have a job? You could have, and maybe should have, stayed back at home and learned how to cook for your man." Suddenly, Roger heard a voice behind him. The familiar, beautiful air hostess was walking down the aisle checking if everything was fine, when she just happened to overhear Roger's little comment. "Excuse me? You really think women shouldn't work?" Roger peered at the 2 women on both of his sides, stuck in the middle of an awkward situation. He nervously chuckled. Okay, that's not what I meant." "Then what did you mean?" Hannah said, raising her brows. "You'd never imagine nearing the 21st century and having to hear comments like that." "Maybe it's time men like you should stay back home." "Look, I didn't mean to." "What do you mean you didn't mean to? Do you also say things like that to other men?" "No, it's not like that." Just then, the seatbelt sign went off. "Looks like we're in the air." Hannah quickly turned to look out the window. "We're flying already? It was that simple?" she said, finally leaning back and letting out a deep breath. "I'm sorry for what I said before. It was just a little humor to ease the situation, and the way I see it, it worked. I'm not against working women. In fact, my mother was a working woman, and I'm flying to New York just to visit her." The air hostess smirked at Roger. A little dark humor. "I see what you did there." "To be honest, I don't like flying too." "Really? Well, you know a lot about planes. What do you do?" "I'm in the Air Force." "The Air Force? Yes, I used to be a pilot. Wow, so we're flying with a fighter pilot today. It was nice talking to you. If you need anything, please do let me know. My name is Quinn. Roger, and thank you, Quinn. So you're a pilot who doesn't like flying. I was a pilot, but now I don't fly anymore. Why not? Perhaps I shouldn't tell you, but to say the least, I had a bad experience. About 3 hours into the flight, the plane suddenly took a slight tilt, and immediately, Hannah sat up straight looking outside the window again. Is everything okay? It's probably just a little turbulence. It'll be fine. Roger suddenly felt a tap on his shoulder. He turned to see it was Quinn again. She bent down and whispered to him, "Mr. Roger, there's been a bit of an issue. Both our captain and the first officer have suddenly fallen ill with food poisoning. They're unable to fly the plane, and there's a chance that others will get sick too. And in all of this, the weather has been acting up as well. We need someone to take control. You want me to fly the plane?" No, I can't do it." Overhearing the matter, Hannah became nervous. "Hold on a minute. You mean there's no one flying the plane right now?" "Miss, let's keep it down and try not to arouse panic. There's no need to worry, the situation will be handled." However, the look on Quinn's face said the exact opposite of what she spoke. She knew if Roger didn't agree, they would be in trouble. "Mr. Roger, please, you're the only person here with the experience." But Roger shook his head. "No, I told you I can't do this." Quinn looked around nervously, not knowing what to say anymore. Why was he being so reluctant? "What do you mean you can't do it? You're the only one who can." "No. Roger, just stand and take a look around you. If you don't do it, what do you think is going to happen to all these people?" It was after many years that Roger walked into the cockpit. He sat down in the captain's seat and put on the headset. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain, Roger Grant, taking over. Due to a slight inconvenience, we may experience slight turbulence. I've turned on the seatbelt signs and asked the flight attendants to be seated, and would like to have everyone seated for safety." "Thank you, Captain." As Quinn hurried out of the cockpit, Roger began monitoring the frequency and communicating with the air traffic control. Luckily, the weather was good, and the plane had only slightly gone off course, and needed to be brought back to a safer altitude. Roger gripped onto the steering, taking a deep breath. It was within a while that he had the plane in full control, and the journey looked like it would go smooth. But it was just minutes later that Roger was suddenly alerted of high turbulence up ahead. He looked out the windshield to see a dark cloud approaching them. He could see the flashes of thunder within, the cloud swirling in circles, as the plane only got closer and closer, traveling more than 500 miles per hour. And before Roger could take action, he flinched back as something hit the windshield. He froze in his seat, looking at this hideous creature staring menacingly at him. Its one eye wounded, as it glared straight into his eyes. Roger was flying a fighter jet to a naval air station in Massachusetts to a Marine Corps air station in South Carolina. The journey had gone smooth for the most part until he reached North Carolina and began to see the skies darken. Seeing a thunderhead approaching his way, he had flown the jet to a higher altitude of 47,000 feet. As he flew over the clouds, he didn't expect it to be an issue for him. He was 2,000 feet above it and would soon pass over. However, things didn't go as planned when he suddenly heard a loud rumble from the engine. Until it stopped. It stopped. The fire warning light began to flash. The alarms went off. Reacting instinctively, Roger pulled the lever to deploy auxiliary power. But the handle broke off in his hands. That was when panic ensued, but Roger tried to keep calm and assess his situation. At an altitude of 47,000 feet, it was a minimum of -60 degrees Celsius outside. he wasn't wearing a pressure suit, and ejecting out wasn't a matter of taking a chance. It was diving to his end in an enormous thunderstorm beneath him. But Roger had no choice. Fixing his oxygen mask, he hit eject. But as soon as he was thrust out of the jet, he was frightened to see a creature perched on it, just a few feet away, about to pounce on him. Horrified, Roger got into action, shooting the creature. He heard the creature scream out as he became encompassed by hurling winds, flashing thunder like blue blades several feet thick right in front of his eyes as he fell into the thunderstorm beneath. All of a sudden, due to the heavy storm affecting the barometric parachute switch, it opened prematurely. Roger was immediately pulled away by a vigorous spin, thrown around by the strong gusts of wind, and constantly hit by hailstones. He heard it scream out as he became encompassed by the hurling winds, the flashing thunder like blue blades several feet thick right in front of his eyes, the rain, the hailstones. Roger felt like he would die right then and there, but he continued to fall. He continued to fall as if into a never-ending abyss. As Roger sat there in horror, unable to move, he recognized this creature. That day, he had survived the 40-minute fall, landing into the forests of North Carolina. He had suffered broken bones, frostbites, decompression, and more, and had sworn he would never go back to that life again. He would never fly. But when life brought him the opportunity, he took on the steering again, but now sitting in the cockpit, staring into the creature's eyes, he realized it was the one who had made the jet crash that day, and it was Roger who had done this to it. And after all these years, they were face to face once again.
If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe to my channel, and share this video with your friends and family.